Hello, my name is David, and my topic was dyslexia in children at the age of 5 to 11. So dyslexia is a learning disability, and reading itself is a complex task involving two abstract skills, which is decoding and comprehension. Decoding is an ability of converting written symbols into words, and comprehension is the ability to gain meaning from those words. About 10 to 15% of children have reading disabilities, and dyslexia causes some people to transpose letters when reading. Transposing letter means, for example, reading sacred as scared. Then they could have another type of dyslexia where they reverse letters when they can't tell the difference between B or D or Q and P. They could also omit letters, for example, reading boring as bring, where they leave out some certain letters. These symptoms don't necessarily mean always that a child is struggling with dyslexia, especially if they're in kindergarten or first grade. But if the issue becomes more intense in the second grade and after, it is very likely that the child is struggling with dyslexia. fMRI studies show that brains in those with dyslexia rely more on their right hemisphere and frontal lobe than those without it. So the people with dyslexia would more rely on their right hemisphere and their frontal lobe right here. Right there. Because it takes longer for the information to get to left parietal temporal area, which is here. And parietal temporal area is involved in word analysis and decoding, as well as mapping letters and words into corresponding sounds. And also left occipital temporal area, which is also like around here, which is involved in automatic rapid access to word analysis and fluent reading. So in general, students should be able to read 90% of the words with ease if a book is appropriate for their level and age. If the decoding process is not effortless, student with dyslexia will focus his energy and attention on sounding out words at the expense of gaining meaning. The reading problem will start to affect their performance in other subjects, especially when they get to secondary schools. And if the student feels like there is little to no progress in his reading, his frustration is going to rise and motivation will likely begin to decrease, which could cause him to start avoiding books and reading in general. I think it's important that the teachers and parents try to notice the problems that their child or a student is having at the early stage, so they can help him as soon as possible. One way to keep the kids motivated would be, in my opinion, to give them actually stuff that they're interested in, that they would like to read, or give them the same things over and over again, just for them to gain confidence and not quit reading. Then some of the therapy suggestions for teachers and parents would be to provide a variety of language-related activities, give the student material he can read successfully, use reading materials that the student is interested in, teach the student to visualize what he reads. And one of the best ones I've read about is multi-sensory approach, which is basically teaching them to learn more than one sense. So they would, for example, write the words in the paint just with their fingers, and they would sound out every letter as they write it. So they're not using just their visual senses, but also their auditory and tactile sense. And then to incorporate it with the Bible, I thought the appropriate verse for this topic was Philippians 4:13, which says, "I can do all this through Him who gives me strength." Students with dyslexia can change their brain and improve their reading by staying motivated, working hard, and believing in the power of God that He will help them deal with their problems. Thank you.